Hey everybody, Dr. Kelly here. Listen, I just hopped off the treadmill and I tried to do this video live a few minutes ago, but the sound was horrible, and so I'm going to start over. But while I was on the treadmill, I got to thinking about something. I just came off of a 24-hour shift in the ER, and I got home and I was working on something on the computer. I tend to kind of dive into stuff that I've got going on, and while I was sitting there at the keyboard, I started getting sleepy and got a little dozy, and I thought, I either need to go take a nap or I need to go work out. And so I had that struggle going on, trying to decide what I wanted to do. And so I realized what always gets me to a better place and gets me feeling better is getting out in the garage and getting on the treadmill and getting my workout in. And so while I was on the treadmill, I started thinking about that process of how hard things tend to lead you to a place where things get better. And it took me back to my days in high school when I was playing high school football in Texas, and the temperature was always in the high 90s, sometimes over 100 degrees. And we would start out the season in late August doing 2-a-days. We would have practice starting the last 2 weeks of August, where we were out there twice, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and really working out, doing wind sprints, working out with weights, and then going through drills and plays. And it was just really difficult. And I remember thinking, my gosh, when this season's over, I'm just going to relax and everything's going to get easier. I can remember every day at 2 o'clock walking from school to the football field house and just dreading the whole time what I was in for when we would have daily practices throughout the fall. And so in the process of doing that, and playing the game, the part that was so awesome about it were Friday nights and getting to play the game and the excitement of all that. But I realized that as hard as it was, going through all of the pain of all of that was like climbing in a hill. And I always longed for this place when it was all over, where I could kind of let down and things were going to get easier. And I thought, gosh, when football season's over, my life is going to be so much easier. And it was. But then there was college. I ended up graduating from high school. I went to college and it was hitting the books. I decided I wanted to go to medical school, and I was studying chemistry and all of this stuff that I had no interest in whatsoever, physics and all the math and stuff that you had to get through. And I realized again, that was like climbing a hill, and I had to get to the top to get to the other side where I graduated and had a little break and was able to take a breather and move on. And I thought, gosh, as soon as I graduate, I'll be able to get a job and make some money, and things they're just going to be so much better, so much easier. And then I ended up getting into medical school. Same sort of thing. More books, more of a hill to climb. I got to the top and I graduated, and I thought, oh, I've got a summer off in between starting my residency. I've got some time to relax. And I was able to kind of relax. And then all of a sudden I ended up in a surgical training center. One of the hardest things that I ever did in my life was spending 3 years in a surgical training center at a level 1 trauma center, where the trauma just came 24/7. And so that was another huge hill to climb. And I just remember thinking, my gosh, is this ever going to stop? Am I ever going to get to this place where I can relax? It's just climbing and climbing and climbing this hill. And then at some point in time, I found myself with a year off, and I had a break in my schedule, and I was able to relax, and I ended up actually not going on and becoming a surgeon, but I ended up in the ER. And so what I realized was that all through my life, I'd always been going through these different times where things were difficult and hard, and there was struggle, and I was climbing the hill, and I would get to the top and to a place to where I had either gotten good enough at something that it wasn't as much of a struggle, and there was a downside and maybe some time to relax and take it easy, or at least not be so stressed out. And so what I realized just going through life, and especially now since we're in this time where we're all facing this pandemic, and everybody is challenged at this point in time. I think we're all having to shelter in place. We're all facing different challenges on different levels. People have job challenges. People have situations where they have kids at home, and they've been their kids have been sent home from school. They've been sent home from work because there is no place to gather and do work in their particular job, and that's a challenge. It's a huge challenge for people, and so that's a hill that people are climbing, and we're all climbing different hills. But I think the thing that I realized that I wanted to impart is that with every hill, with every challenge that you face, where you're climbing this hill, there's always a downside. There's always and when I say a downside, there's a valley where things get a little looser, where things get better for a period of time. We're able to relax, and the sun comes out, and people have a brighter outlook. But once we're through this pandemic, the truth of the matter in life, there's always another hill ahead of us. There's always another challenge that we tend to face. And so I really wanted to do this video mainly because I think we all have to have the mindset that we're going to get through this particular challenge, and we have to look beyond it and see a better time out in our future, something ahead of us to look forward to. Because the fact is, after this is all over and done and we're past this, there will be another hill to climb, and then there will be, a time that gets better. That's where life happens. Life happens, I think, climbing and descending the hills. If you end up spending your time living in the valley, that's where I believe that life gets bland, it can get dull, and there's not a whole lot of passion there. It's difficult to live here climbing the hill because it's stressful and it's challenging, and you can't live there expending all of your energy climbing, a particular hill your entire life. There has to be that balance. And so I just wanted to hop on here and do this video because I know a lot of people are struggling with their own challenges, whatever those may be, but we're gonna get through it. There is another side, and there's a brighter place that we're gonna end up. And so I just don't want you to forget that. And that's all I got to say today. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.